Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to HIMediaTV. Welcome to your HIMediaTV news update. And furious Congress plows forward with TikTok bill after user revolt. By Zachary Basu and Mary Churi from Axios. Members of Congress are being flooded with calls from angry constituents after TikTok launched a new campaign warning its users that the Chinese-owned app was at risk of being shut down in the U.S. A House committee voted unanimously Thursday afternoon to advance the bipartisan legislation that would force ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent company, to divest its ownership of the app within 165 days. To note that today, Wednesday, this was last week, today, it went to a floor vote in the House and passed. So let's talk about this, shall we? Let me remove my feelings about this, and let's look at this and let's look at this analysis objectively. Firstly, the Chinese Communist Party is not going to allow ByteDance to divest TikTok internationally. TikTok is by far way too valuable of a intellectual property to not like on the world stage for the CCP to just let it become a United States property. Even if the Chinese Communist Party, can still get all of the user data they would ever want just by simply buying it from Facebook, for fuck's sake. Now, let's talk about what this bill is. Is it a TikTok ban? No. This bill going into effect is not officially a TikTok ban, but what it is a TikTok ban through breakage. So what's going to happen is that there will be a deadline of about 8 to 10 months where ByteDance will have to find a seller to sell all of TikTok to. And then from that, they'll basically have to the new user will basically continue running TikTok like everything's normal. Here's the problem with that. TikTok is a very large, robust platform that costs billions of dollars a year to maintain, even if it makes even more $1 billion a year in revenue. Here's the thing to note. There's 150 million users in the United States. Just under half the United States population uses TikTok. There are only a handful of companies that could afford to buy and take over and continue to run TikTok that have the money, the infrastructure, and the manpower to have a relatively seamless transition. Those companies are Microsoft, Google, Facebook. And none of those three companies will be allowed to buy it because of antitrust law, because of possible antitrust lawsuits. So who's left? You have Mr. Wonderful, the dickhead on Shark Tank, who wants to buy it and use its 150 million users to train AI, which, let's be real, TikTok is already doing, using our data already. You have had a couple other groups possibly interested. The fact of the matter is, though, is that TikTok itself has a large amount of infrastructure and data that needs to be transferred to American servers and American teams. And realistically, the only companies that are going to be able to do that are Google, Facebook, Microsoft. And like I said, they can't because of antitrust reasons. Not that they say they won't try, but it's probably going to be bogged down in lawsuits and issues. Where do we go from here? I think it's to bring in the personal. I think it's unbelievably ironic that Biden started launching through TikTok. That most people under the age of 30 get their news from things like TikTok, and if we're just gonna be fucking pragmatic about this shit, this is a terrible idea. You have 150 million people most of those people are under the age of 40, and you you're doing this. And you might be saying, Evan, how is it a ban? Here's the thing: if the deadline comes, ByteDance will be blocked off from updating their app. What will happen is that the Apple, Google Play, and other stores will be banned from updating the app. ByteDance could then subsequently update, make a website that you can log into through a VPN to update your app, but that's a gigantic pain in the ass, and most people aren't going to have the skill to do that. So this kind of leads into President Biden and his chances. People's memories are very short. I very much remember how awful the Trump presidency was, and I very much remember. I've been listening to what they have said with what they were planning to do, as well as the plan of Project 2025. Biden seems to be doing a speed run of shit to make it as hard as fucking possible to win re-election. It's frustrating. It's demoralizing. And, and this bill that they're passing isn't just a TikTok ban, it also allows the president to take down any apps that they view as a problem for national security reasons. That is a deeply anti-First Amendment bill, and this is going to get locked up in courts as a result. We are dealing with... This is a podcast that supports things like Right to Repair. This is a podcast that supports things like Web 2.0. This is like open API uses, like a free and open internet. I'm against net neutrality. I'm pro net neutrality. It's just functionally, at the end of the day, we are in a very, very difficult state, and not to be ageist, but I don't like old people who were alive and almost adults, or were adults, when black people weren't equal citizens in this country, being able to make dictates for the future that they are not going to be alive to see. And it makes me unbelievably angry. Thank you for listening. God, I'm stressed. Give me money at HIMedia.gg/donate. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.